Today we're going to perform a simple stain. And a simple stain allows us to see the shape of bacteria. We're going to start by taking a clean glass slide and applying 1 drop of distilled water to it, right to the center of the slide. 1/2 drop. We're now going to go ahead and light our alcohol burner. And we're going to pick up our inoculating loop. We're going to take the inoculating loop and we're going to flame the end of it to sterilize the end of this loop. So what I want to do is hold this inoculating loop just like I would hold a pencil. And I want to hold it at 45 degrees right in the orange part of the flame. And I'm going to allow the flame to turn this end of this inoculating loop a nice bright orange. Once that's happened, I know that the end of the inoculating loop has been sterilized. At that point, I want to take a specimen of bacteria, which is in this petri dish right here. And I'm going to open this petri dish using a clamshell technique. That means that I'm going to open about half of this petri dish just like a clamshell. And that prevents all the germs from above from falling in to my nice clean petri dish. So that's what I'm going to do. Now make sure that you allow your inoculating loop to cool off for about 15 seconds or so we don't burn the bacteria. So I'm going to go ahead, use a clamshell technique, open up my petri dish. I'm going to put the inoculating loop in and be careful not to touch the sides of my petri dish. And I'm just going to gently swab it over my bacteria, maybe about 1/4 of an inch, kind of pull it and get a little bit of bacteria there. So little that you could barely see it. If you can see a lot of it, you got way too much. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to gently rub that inoculating loop in my water and smear that water around my slide. Very gently, all around the slide. After I'm finished with that, again, I want to reflame my inoculating loop to kill the bacteria that's on the end. So again, I hold it 45 degrees, allow the lower inch of my inoculating loop to turn a nice bright orange, and at that point, the inoculating loop should be sterilized. And I'm not going to end up contaminating other people or the desk. Now at this point, we need to allow our slide to go ahead and dry for about 10-15 minutes until it's completely dry. We can let it air dry, or if we're in a hurry, we can actually hold the slide above the flame, but not too close to the flame, or we'll cook our bacteria. So you want the underside of the slide to just be a mild warm, just a gentle warm temperature, not too hot. And again, this still could take 5 to 7 minutes or so. Now, I've taken the liberty of already preparing a slide that is fully dried. All right, so let's assume that my slide is fully dried, and at this point, what I want to do is fix my bacteria to the glass slide. That means attach the bacteria to the glass slide. So what I'm going to do is pass this slide directly over the flame, right through the tip of the orange flame, about 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Not enough to cook the bacteria, but enough to actually attach or fix the bacteria to the glass slide. At this point, I'm going to cover my flame for safety reasons, and I'm going to take the top and I'm going to come in from the side, and I'm going to gently put it right over the flame and extinguish it. The next step is to take 1 drop of crystal violet dye and apply it right to the center of my specimen. So 1 drop right to the center of the specimen, and that's it. Now I don't want to tilt the slide or allow the crystal violet to run on my slide. This is perfectly fine. And I want that crystal violet to stay there for 1 minute. And what is happening is the bacteria, their cell walls have one charge, and the stain has a different charge. And opposites are going to attract, and that's what's going to allow my stain to be taken up by the bacteria. After about 1 minute, I'm going to wash this with cold water and wash off the excess dye. So we're going to wait approximately 1 minute. So it's been about 30 seconds already, and I can just hold this very gently and level, or I could place it on the table and wait 1 minute. You don't want to wait longer because you'll overstain your bacteria. If you do it too quickly, your bacteria will not take up the stain. So it's got to be about 1 minute, no more, no less. All right, after 1 minute, we're going to go over to the sink, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to wash this slide. So at this point, I'm going to turn on the cold water, and I'm going to wash the slide. Now I'm going to make sure that the water falls on the top of my slide. And I'm going to hold the slide at about 45 degrees. And I want the water to simply run across my specimen. I don't want the water to actually fall on the specimen. So the water is actually falling above the slide and gently going over the specimen and washing off the excess dye. After most of the dye has been washed off, I'm going to shake my slide, get rid of the excess water, take a paper towel, and I'm going to blot my slide all around the slide. Not the specimen, just the glass slide, and get all the excess water off. So all around the slide, get all that excess water off the slide. Now at this point, what I want to do is ball up the paper towel a little bit and very, very gently blot dry my specimen. I do not want to rub it because that will get rid of the bacteria, but very, very gently blot the specimen until it's just about or totally dry. At this point, the air should dry the rest of it very quickly. I'm going to take this back over to the table. My slide is totally dried, and you can see that it's just a very faint purple color. At this point, I'm ready to go ahead and look at the slide under my microscope. Now, the way I'm going to go ahead and do that is by taking my microscope, and I'm going to take my slide and put it right in the microscope. Make sure you're on the lowest possible power, and make sure that your slide is completely dry. Turn on my microscope. Always start with the lowest possible power and use the coarse adjustment. I'm now going to get the slide in focus. And there we are. Once I get it in focus under the coarse adjustment, I use the fine adjustment, and now I move up to the next highest power. This is called the par focus technique because the slide should be in partial focus right now. At this point, all I should have to do is use the fine focus. And again, I turn the fine focus either forward or backwards about a half a turn, and it should come into nice sharp focus. Now I'm going to move up to the next highest power, in this case high power. Again, the slide should be in partial focus, and all I should have to use is my fine adjustment. Again, a half a turn forward or backwards, and I'm in perfect focus. At this point, if you want to use oil immersion, you can do that. Follow your teacher's instructions. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and use oil immersion. So I'm going to take my objectives and I'm going to turn them halfway between the high power and the oil immersion. And I'm going to take some of this oil and I'm going to put one drop. I'm going to come in about 45 degrees, put one drop right in the middle of my specimen without touching the slide. One drop right in the middle. Replace the cap. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the oil immersion lens and I'm going to turn it, and it should go right in the oil. It needs to be touching the oil for it to work properly. If you've done everything properly up to this point, then the oil immersion lens should gently move right into the oil. At this point, again, it's impartial focus. All you should have to use is the fine adjustment. Never use the coarse adjustment at this point, because you will break the slide, break the objective, or both. So use only the fine focus. Again, half a turn forward or backwards, and you'll have the slide, the specimen, in nice focus. At this point, after you're done looking at your slide, you want to get rid of the slide. Gently turn your objective lenses, remove the slide, and take your slide and put it into the glass container. Never throw it into the garbage can, but into the glass container. What I'm going to do now is I need to clean my objective, and I'm going to use the special lens paper so that we don't scratch the lens. And I'm going to fold up my lens paper once, twice in this case, and I'm going to take this paper and I'm going to gently wipe and blot the tip of the oil immersion lens. And I'm going to keep doing that until I don't see any more oil on my paper. At this point, the oil immersion lens is free of oil, and we're done.